Hi, I'm Adam.
I'm Ryan.
And we're the Gamesmiths, and we are here to play Mazers. And Ryan is going to kick us off with an explanation of the rules.
All right, Mazers, the board game. Objective, each player will attempt to build a path from their home base to their opponent's home base. Each player will have 2 blockers that they use to disrupt their opponent's path from completing their task. The first player to reach their opponent's home base and remove all the walls of their path from the board is the winner. So in Mazers, we have our octagon-shaped board here that prevents people from getting cornered. We have the mice. They're placeholders in the game, and as you build your little maze wall, the mice will, or your mouse will move to just kind of indicate which direction you're moving in, and kind of alleviate confusion and give you a fun mouse to run through the maze. You have 12 wall pieces that are these guys right here. And those, like I said, you're going to use to build your wall. They're 2 die, white die and a black die, and they are used for, you roll them together and they're used for moving the white piece and the black piece. But we'll go more into that later. And then if we need, we can use placeholder pieces to mark where our blockers started, because through the game we'll be like, okay, we need to, I'm going to move this thing like 5, and I might forget where it started and try and go like, I want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, And so while you're planning out your different moves, you can use a shadow piece to hold that down.
Got it.
So first thing we do is we roll to see who goes first. The player who rolls the highest goes first. For the sake of the rules, we'll just say I'm getting to go first. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'll roll. I get a 3 and a 2. I have a black 3 and a white 2. And so the first thing I'm going to do every turn is move my blockers. And so I get to move my black blocker here. This blocker has a stripe on it that's black, and this one has one that's white. So this is my black one. I get to move it 3, 1, 2, 3, something like that. You always have to, essentially your movements always have to share 1 pin. So you can't just go, like you can't go from here and like hop, and that's 1 move, but you can go here, and that's 1 move, or basically flip over like this and go here, and that's 1 move, or here. So basically you can pick, each time you move, you pick one of the pins you're attached to and kind of pivot on that pin.
Got it.
So this would be 1, 2, you wouldn't have to go necessarily 1, 2, 3. This would just be a 1, 2, 3 kind of thing like that. But if you did, for some reason, want to move here. So the first thing I do, 1, 2, 3, we'll move that guy like that. And then this one, we're going to move 2, so I'm just going to say 1, 2, like that.
Okay.
And now that I've moved my blockers, I can start building my path. And so I'm going to take my wall pieces, and what I'm going to do is add up the 3 and the 2, and then make my wall pieces add up 3 and 2 to make 5. And then I'm going to put 5 wall pieces onto the board. And I start by pulling them out of my reserve here. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. Oops. Let's say that 4. Whoops, I should have put 1 here. Sorry. So I have to make like a solid wall for my mouse to go in. And so I would actually go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then my mouse would move to show that like this is the front of my path that I'm going. I'm going to keep building out, and that would be the end of my turn. And then I would pass turn to you. You would roll the 2 dice. You'd move your blockers. You'd build your wall out. So we each kind of And that's just the basic turn cycle, the back and forth like that. So we'd each continue to build out our wall pieces as such. And eventually I get to a point where I've used all my wall pieces. I move my mouse up there. And then I go again, I get a 6 and a 3. I'll move this guy 6, something like that. I'll move this one 3, something like that. And now I've got to move 9 of these pieces. Mm-hmm. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start taking pieces off the back one at a time and moving them to the front.
Okay.
So now I'm going to move all these pieces to the front, kind of like this, and keep moving on my way. Da-da-da-da-da. So, all
But
this...
you would have moved 9 pieces instead of 4.
Correct, yeah, just as an example. But, so as an example, and of course you've been moving your blockers this whole while.
Right.
The point of your blockers are to block. I guess they can do a couple things. Offensively, you can use them to, block other players' blockers, use it to make sure that like a route's going to be open. So if I decide like I want to come up this side of the board, I might put my blockers ahead on this side of the board because you're like, well, I don't want to get blocked by his blockers, so I'm going to go the other way, and then I kind of know that way is secure. So that's how I can use my blockers offensively. I can just kind of put them in a place that I want to go because you're going to be a little discouraged from going there.
Right.
Or, however you want to do that. Defensively, basically I use them to block you, to stop you from trying to get where you're getting. We already discussed how they move. And if what you want to do is get one of your blockers to block off my path like that. There are a couple types of blocks you can do. There's like a direct block, which is getting your thing to just directly cover my path. My path ends here. Bam, you put your blocker on top of it. My path is done. If this happens, when I go on my next turn, I'm going to roll. I get 5 and 3. I'll move these guys, wherever, 5 and 3, however that ends up. And then when I got to start doing my 8, I now have to go the other direction. So my mouse is going to go and come this way. And now I'm building this way because I've been blocked. And now since this is the back of my train, I'm going to start pulling them off from there and going like, oh, well, he's got this all jammed up over here. I'm just going to start building back this way.
Yeah.
And I'll build back this way and, take my 8 pieces and start building myself another path. And maybe I'm going to try and go this way and back around. Maybe I'm just going to double back up the other way, however I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
But I'd finish my move and then that's it. So there are a couple rules involving the blockers, mainly just kind of where you can and can't place them. So one thing you can't do is block off both persons' paths. Actually, let me finish one thing I forgot to explain. The other thing that I forgot to explain is the idea of like a forced block, is I believe what it's called. Let's see, get the exact term. Okay, when a player is blocked, let me see, okay, if one or both of the opponent's blockers cause a force block, the player must finish out the path to block themselves in. Move the mouse to the opposite maze, and then continue rolling. So if I roll my 8 here, I guess let's say I already put this guy down there. I guess otherwise I could get out of it. Well, let's just say this is what the board looked like and I rolled an 8. I'm in a position where I am kind of forced to move into where your things are here to block me. So, but I have to finish that move. Like, there's no way I can kind of get out of this without going there and getting blocked. So essentially I could go here, That's my next move. So that's 1 of my 8, and then 2.
Because you can't use my piece as a wall.
Right, because I can't use your piece as a wall. And then the next place that I go, that I kind of have to go, is right here, is 3. So, right, because this is the only, this is the end of my path right now. This is the only legal move I have, is to add on here. Because I can't use yours as a wall. I can't just keep building this way and just like, oh, thanks for the help. Like, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
So I would have to block myself in like this, and then my thing would end right there. And at that point, so I took, I think, 3 to do that. I have 5 more. My mouse would come over here and then just start going, okay, now I'm going to take these back, and I've got 5 more. 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I can move my mouse back here to start getting out of there.
Cool.
So there are a couple things you have to keep in mind with your blockers. So there are a few, those are the basic rules, and then there are a couple of just like kind of illegal moves or things that you need to be aware of with the blockers. So number 1 is there is a safety zone around the mouse. So essentially your next like moves, so if my mouse is here, you are allowed to block here directly in front of my path and end it, but you're not allowed to block here or here.
Okay.
In basically in the square in front of me, the 3 things in front of me. So if I was over here, if my path was over here, let's say, and I was like this, and this was the end of my path right here, you would not be allowed to go here, here, or here.
Okay.
So going here is okay, and that would force me to go this way, or I guess this way to try and go around you, but this way seems the better one, up the middle. So I could get you to go here, but then you could also put your second blocker here. So that's another legal move, right? It's not in my safety zone, but you have one here and one here, and now I'm stuck. Now I'm going to be forced to build into your wall. So I'm going to have to go, okay, like this, I guess. And then now I'm just trying to kind of figure the shortest route to get myself blocked off. So now I have that, and now I'm blocked off, and I can start building the other way, kind of thing like that. So that's one way you can block me. The other way is like a direct block, or using like one of these walls in a scenario like we did over here, where it's kind of stopping me, blocking me off there. So even, like doing that and still respecting the safety zone. So like so if my mouse was here, the safety zone's, here and here.
Got it.
But this one can still, if you can manage to get directly in front of me, that's okay.
Okay.
The other thing is your blocker is not allowed to be in between 2 red pins. So there are a few red pins, and they're just mainly these ones coming right out of the home base. So here is okay, because you're on 1 red pin. Here is not okay, because you're connecting 2 red pins.
Got it.
And then, of course, you can't ever go in the other person's like home area or safety zone.
Got it.
So that is more or less it. And then, like I said in the beginning, but I'll reiterate real quick, you must reach the home base of the opposite player. So I'm going until I can build, my wall in here like this. And, I got in here somehow. Let's say like this. And so now I've built all the way, and my mouse has moved in here. And now I'm going to, assume all these guys are. And now what I have to do is then keep rolling until all of these are off the board. So I'll roll, like if I'm like this and I'm in your base, but I roll snake eyes, then I only get to take 2 pieces off, and I still haven't finished the game yet. You have another chance to like keep going and win the game by getting all your pieces off.
Right.
So you start with all the pieces off the board on your side, snake your way over to your opponent's side, dodging their blockers and trying to block them, and then remove all your pieces basically off the other side, and you're done.
Great.
So any questions?
No, I think we got it.
Cool. Those are the rules, and we'll see you in the game.